Welcome back, everyone. The video you're about to watch is part of a live stream series that I do on Twitch where I teach people how to build an Android app from start to finish by building a task management application. I've removed the episode numbers from the videos because it's designed that each one can be consumed individually. Each week, I pick a particular topic or feature and focus on just that for the live stream. If you are interested in watching the full playlist, check out the links in the description below. But if you just found this one and it intrigues you, I hope you enjoy it and let me know what you think. Happy Wednesday, everyone. Welcome back. Hope y'all had a good week. Happy Jetpack Compose 1.1.0 release day. I should have pulled that up. Uh, Actually, I have it on my other window here. I should have pulled that up and shared that. That's the exciting news of the day, in case y'all have missed it. Um, we have a new major version of Jetpack Compose, so I'm sure y'all have guessed that's going to be the first thing that we update to. Um, Hopefully. Anyways, I know I typically avoid updating version numbers on stream because what could go wrong? Everything. But we will try that out and see how that goes. And then the next thing I want to do tonight is finally do some stuff around empty states for the application. If we look at it right now, um, the empty state doesn't really exist. We have these like awkward headers that don't exist or that don't like mean anything. Um, what I think I would like to do is we could add a like if there are no tasks at all, we could have like a sort of like centered empty state that maybe puts like a text view and an icon telling you like, hey, click this button to add a task. Um, and if we do have some tasks that fit in one of these columns, I was thinking we could put like maybe put like a card view inside each task or inside each group that's like, hey, you don't have any incomplete tasks yet. So or you've completed all your tasks for today, congratulations, or something like that. Maybe that would be easy to add first, and then we could move on to the like overall empty state. That's my plan anyways. Y'all know we don't always stick to the plans here, so we'll see how it goes. Um, but yeah, what we could talk about the Jetpack Compose good stuff that's coming in 1.1. Uh, the big highlights they seem to keep calling out were improved focus handling, touch target sizing, image vector caching, and support for Android 12 stretch overscroll, which is interesting. I thought this was already supported to a certain extent, but maybe they've added new stuff. Also, Jetpack Compose 1.1 uses Kotlin 1.6. So that's been a new major version of Kotlin that was pushed out recently that some people couldn't update to without using like an alpha version of Compose or whatever. So now you have a stable version of Compose that works with Kotlin 1.6. Is the complete text larger than incomplete? No, your mind is just playing tricks on you. It probably has to do with the typeface that makes it look that way. I guess I can kind of see it too. Um, but I am 99% certain that they use the same piece of code. Uh, so I think it's just an optical illusion, but let's find out. Let's go into task list content, maybe? Um, ID's taking some time. And then we had task list, and yeah, so they both go through the same section header composable function. Um, yeah, so I think it's just like an optical illusion, maybe with the typeface or the different letters that they start with, but they are the same. Um, if we look at like a past eight, um, they definitely like maybe they look a little more like the same now. Um, but yeah, they probably look weird next to each other. But that's another thing that we're gonna fix today because they should never appear next to each other like this. Doesn't make any sense. Um, so we'll fix that up today. But yeah, I shared. Oh, did I share it? I shared the Twitter link. I'll share the blog release for this as well. I'll make sure this gets added into like stream notes as well. But um, we can read through all these things. I do like the updates to touch target We talk here, we don't always put a ton of effort into it, but we talk sometimes about the importance of accessibility. And one of the things is like any sort of clickable component in your application should have a minimum touch target of 48 dp. Um, like that's the minimum width or height of anything that would be like clickable, or what it should be, anyways. Um, and it looks like there was some stuff in Compose about not all components did that out of the box. So it sounds like radio button is an example of one that was not. Um, but now like radio buttons will be enforced to go up to like 48 dp height, and I'm sure this applies to some other components as well. So that's exciting. There are some experimental APIs that are now stable. One like animated visibility. Paratronics, thank you for the follow. Um, so this is exciting. Some of the animation related APIs. There are also new experimental APIs, which is one that I might look into for um, this project. Lazy column / lazy row item positions can be animated using modifier.animate item placement. Um, I find that to be really interesting. Maybe we'll look at the docs in a second to see what that can give us. Um, oh, also a note here, what I said earlier, this requires using column 1.6.10, so the first little bit of our stream will be updating some version numbers and hoping that nothing broke, which is classic. Um, so yeah, we'll do that. Um, that was the big news of the day. One other thing I wanted to show off to all of you before we start streaming. Um, Make sure, if you all haven't yet, that you start the GitHub repo for this project. And one thing that I do every week when we live stream is I update this stream history file that has like notes and PRs and YouTube videos for every one of our live streams. And after a while, this got like not so user friendly, as we're now on like episode 19 for this particular project. So I made an update to the stream history file to add collapsible sections at the beginning here. Um, so there is still like streams by date if you are interested in like going back and seeing stuff in order. But also if you want to look at live streams that focused on a particular topic, either grouped by screen or maybe like a broader thing like times we focused on developer experience, like the design system, documentation, test coverage. And I even highlighted streams that go over hot topics like dependency injection, navigation, persistent storage. So just trying to make this page a little more, and I'll post this in chat as well, so you can see the link to the actual one I'm talking about. But just trying to make this page a little more uh, user friendly for people to find and get the information they're looking for. Because I know as this project gets like further along, it becomes more intimidating, and maybe some people feel like they need to start at the beginning, and you definitely don't have to. Um, you can go in and find topics on each thing you want. And everything is all in one file, so you can also do like a Command F and you could search for like, dependency injection and find things. And every ooh, there's no YouTube link here. Well, every stream should have a YouTube and PR link associated with it. Can't believe that got missed. Oh my god. It got missed there too. They're definitely on YouTube, so I'll just have to make sure this file is updated. I'll do an audit of that later. Um, yeah, that was the thing I wanted to share. So with that, let's get into some empty state stuff. So, or well, before we get into the empty state stuff, let's do the thing that we are all excited about, and let's do some version bumps here. So, actually, there's a couple that I know we can do that are related to Compose. Compose navigation is stable now. Um, Also, Hilt navigation Compose is also stable now. Um, my Compose version is not in this file. Maybe it's in the other build deck Gradle. Um, what the heck? Hold on. Where is my Compose version defined? compose version. There we go, found it. So we could change this to 1.1.0. I also should get, I like putting the release notes as a comment, so let me go dig those up real quick. Um, Releases compose, yep. And we'll put that there. Um, this does, I think, as we talked about, this needs to change to Kotlin 1.6.10, which is also probably going to break the the KSP plugin, which I think, because I did this earlier today, I think that is the new stable KSP version. Let's do a Gradle sync and let's see if this works for us. And it will be a miracle if I can update a few version numbers quickly without breaking everything at the start of the stream. Um, we'll find out. Um, while we're waiting, I'm just going to ramble on about some other stuff. So my part of my workday got derailed today because a coworker was like just chatting with me about some other stuff. Who he was looking at GraphQL for like the company, and he noticed that they had like a multi-platform mobile library from Apollo. And so he asked me if I had ever done it, and I said no. And like I had been thinking about multi-platform, but never really like gotten very far. And then I was like, oh, I'll spend my lunch break like trying to add a Kotlin multi-platform module to one of my pet projects. And that turned into like several hours that I spent trying to get that to work, but I did. I didn't build like an iOS client for it necessarily, um, like to go with it, but I was able to get like the Android side working, which is cool. Ah, Lizzie, hi, thank you for coming by. Cheers. Hope you're doing well, Lizzie. Um, I think that we were able to update those version numbers without breaking anything. So if that's true, that's huge. I'm just gonna run the actual app to make sure, but I can commit this code, hopefully, updating compose version number, or just compose version, we could say. Classic Gradle builds. So, assuming it works, we could start to talk about the empty states that we want to build here. So, let's give a little bit of background on what you see on the screen so we can talk about what work needs to be done. So, this task, what you see on the right, what you see here, is this task list composable. And it takes in a list of incomplete tasks, a list of completed tasks, and some callbacks. The buttons have like, or the task cards have like a reschedule button, they have a done button. So there's some callbacks for like when those buttons are clicked and any modifier. And the way it's built is so we show like the section header, and then we show the list of tasks for that section. And then the other section header, and then a list of tasks for that section. So I think what we're going to need to do here is to start without thinking about, hey, Raphael, thanks for coming by. Hope you're having a good day. Um, so to start, before worrying about like the complete empty state, I'm thinking we could add like card views below each section if they're not filled out. Um, so we could put like a sort of like if else thing right here, where we could say, if completed tasks uh, that is empty, empty state here, else follow through to adding those items. So let's talk about this. Now, I want to build something and run it just to see what it will look like. And then we can refactor code because we probably want to make like one single card component here that could be reused across them both. But let's just get something working to start. So we'll create an item. This is needed for like the lazy list rendering, we can call material 3 card. I think that's what we called it. Yep. Um, and then we could put our stuff in here. So let's just put something in here. I actually don't know how this will look um, to start, but we'll get styling done after. Let's put something in. Um, we'll say this for completed tests. I'm trying to think of good messaging. I know I talked about I want this to be like inspiring and not like bad. So what could we put here? Like we haven't checked anything off yet today. Don't worry, there's still plenty of time. We could put something like that. Or maybe like we can think of it later. Call that no completed task load. I'm just extracting that into a string resource so we could change that for like different translations or something in the future. I don't think this run is going to have my code because I just made it. So let's run this and let's see what our little empty state card looks like here. Ah, this project should build a lot faster than it does. Maybe my computer's just a little overloaded right now. Um, I could look at the design tab and see if that. Oh, I don't have an empty state preview on my design tab, do I? Huh. Interesting. Okay, so this worked. Um, this does not look very good at all. Uh, let's see. So the card looks fine. Um, the biggest thing I would probably want to do is give the text some padding. So let's add a modifier here for that. Um, modifier dot padding. Just to make sure it's not KSP. I could. I don't know where that analyzer is. Um, I think I'm just impatient. My computer is overloaded, honestly. Um, anyways, what am I going to put here? Um, I think I'm going to go with 32. I'm going to add a lot of padding to this. Um, even though like 24 is probably good, let's add a lot so we can like kind of center this text a little bit. Let's see how that looks. Um, oh, build analyzer. I didn't know that. Okay, that was definitely a lot faster. So, so what took the most time? There's still something using capped. Is that true? Capped. I thought I removed that everywhere. Oh, I didn't. Um, yeah, Hilt is still using it. Okay, this was not as slow as I thought. Or it definitely wasn't the second time around. So maybe there was just nothing cached the first time. Um, I'm going to shrink this padding a little bit. I kind of like this vertical padding, but not so much the horizontal. So I might do something like this. Um, vertical equals 32. So horizontal equals 24. Hi, Matt. Thank you for coming by. How was your day, Matt? Um, okay. This is looking better. I think the other thing I might do here is let's see how this looks. If we add text align dot center, will that hot reload? It will not. See how a center looks. Trying to get Exoplay to work with Compose. Sound fun. Ooh, hack week. I need a good hack week. I'm like part of the team that's trying to organize one a capsule, but we haven't gotten there yet. Okay, I somehow made this look worse, but I think that's because of the sizing of it. Um, Maybe this isn't too bad. Let's change this string too. Let's do something like try to make this message a little shorter, and let's see how that looks. We can also worry about like copy later. I don't want to get stuck on like bike shedding here. That actually looks good when it's down to one line, I think. Okay, cool. So now that we have this, um, let's think about how we can extract this to reuse it for the other section as well. So the card, I want to look the same for both sections, but the text that appears will be different. So let's make a private composable, and let's call this empty section card or something like that. And then we'll just have a parameter come in called text, and we can put our card in there, and here we can put the text that gets passed in. So we replace this with empty section card. Text will be that string resource we created earlier. And let's do this same concept for um, the other one. If incomplete tasks dot is empty, oops, empty state, else the task list items that are associated with it. So here we can put again empty state, what, empty section card? Um, and our text here will be, you've completed everything you need to do today. Why is this yelling at me? Oh, because this also needs to go inside an item call. And we can put this in a string resource. Incomplete tasks. What did I call the other one? Call it no incomplete tasks label. Yeah, that matches with the other. I should change my screen timeout because that's going to get annoying. Um, and let's see how this looks. Actually, see if I can find it. But it's 10 minutes. We're cruising. I might have to think of more work to do tonight. Okay, this looks good. So let's go ahead and commit this part. Adding empty states for each section. Um, I was also thinking about the preview um, for this, and if we look at like the split view here, we have a composed preview for what it looks like when we have um, tasks for each section. I was thinking it might be helpful to have additional previews for like actually let's make this even smaller. For like if we're missing one section or not the other and both. So let's do that really quick if y'all don't mind. I'm just going to copy this. Let's call this full task list preview. We make another one. This one can be um, no incomplete tasks list preview. So here, for incomplete tasks, we can just delete that from our preview block and pass an empty list here. We'll copy the same composable again. We'll put no completed tasks list preview. We will delete this block and put an empty list here. And then the other state can be no tasks list preview. And here we'll just ignore all of our demo tasks and pass in two empty lists here. Okay, let's build and refresh and see how our composed preview looks for that one. Um, Something I had been thinking about related to last week's stream is we added coveralls to report on our code coverage for each pull request. And it got me thinking when I was digging deeper into another project that all these composed previews, I think, are technically part of application code, and they're never covered. And I don't know how to work around a problem like that. Um, if like they should be moved into a different file or maybe their own module or something. Um, we can cross that bridge if we do get a problem later. But let's look at our previews now that we have them. So we can see, can I zoom in a little bit? Yeah. So this is what it would look like when we do have tasks. That looks great. Um, we can see when we've like got no incomplete tasks, that state looks good. Um, there's also when we have no completed tasks. And then there's the double empty state, which should change in the future. Um, we'll talk about that next probably. Um, let's go ahead and commit the preview updates, and we'll talk next about how I want to do this other state. So I was thinking that we could take this lazy column out and we could put this in its own private composable that is like the actual task list. Because I'm thinking about where does the if statement go? Hi, Weiler? Weiler? I don't know if it's a soft J or not. It feels like it would be. Um, thank you for coming by. Um, so I'm thinking about where we put this if statement around, like, show the task list or show an empty state, which could go here, right? Or it could go a level up um, inside hard J, actually. So, like, Widgeler? Did I say it right the second time? Ah, okay, Widgeler. I don't know why. I like it. Okay. Um, so the if statement could go here, or it could go inside our task list content, where we have like okay, if we why did I rephrase it this way? So if we have not show loading, why didn't I just call it show tasks? That's weird. Past Adam is always confusing me. Um, but we could put like an if statement here, and then we could have like a no task list state that renders here. And I think I kind of like this a little more. We could do something like if view state dot incomplete task dot is empty. Ooh, you can do is null or empty list. And view state dot completed tasks dot is null or empty state here, else task list. Um, I think this is where I would put it. I'm just questioning if I'm going to regret this decision. If there's any reason why the list itself shouldn't be responsible, but no, I think this makes sense. So can we do this? As long as KTLint doesn't yell at me, I'm gonna do that. Um, hey Absol, thank you for coming by. Hope you had a great Wednesday. Um, we are working on like our empty states. We added this like single card here for like each section if they're empty. But now we're thinking about if we have no tasks at all, I don't think we should do this. I think we should have like another empty state that says like get started. So let's not think about let's design too much here, and let's get something going. Let's put in a box that fills the screen. And inside that box, I'm going to put some text. And in here, we'll put something like you have no tasks scheduled for today. Um, click the button on the bottom right to add one. I feel like I would change the wording on this if it were me, but I'll come back to that. So we'll extract this as a string resource and we'll call this like no tasks label. No tasks scheduled label. Um, and we're going to put this, we're going to use modifier dot align, alignment dot center. Um, we'll probably make it bigger. Let's run it, let's see what it looks like, and then we can talk about that. Um, and I should actually then put my true empty state preview in here. Let's just do that real quick. Let's copy this. Or, ooh. So something we've done in the past is we looked at how you could have like multiple parameters for the same preview, which is definitely something I should do here. So maybe we'll refactor to that again as well. Ha! I love the Adam McDroid emoji. Also, I know some of you heard me promise last week that I would have new sub badges today. Unfortunately, they are not ready today, but they will be ready soon. Um, okay, we can definitely make this better. Let's make it better. Well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in, let's call this task list empty state. Um, put it in its own composable. All right, how are we going to make this better? Well, the first thing is let's add some padding. Let's do 32 dp on this one because it's definitely in the middle. Let's consider, we'll also do text align as center here as well. Um, and I'm thinking about the style. This text style. Where is it at? Oh, it's style. Um, we could do material theme dot typography dot. Oh, do we want to try like headline medium? Let's try that. Let's. What's the worst that could happen? We'll see how this looks. All right, this is a very scuffed indie developer empty state, but it's an empty state. So let's commit this real quick. Now that I've got a chunk. And let's do a little bit of manual QA for this. We could also write some UI tests today to verify that this is working. Um, that would be a good thing for us to do. So this shows up because we have no tests at all today. So let's go ahead and add one. And let's call this, I don't know, test, because I never read anything helpful. And we submit. Okay, that's good. I see a card for incomplete tasks. And then under completed tasks, I see this card that says, hey, tasks you've completed will show up here. So if I mark this as done, it swaps section. I see you've completed everything you need to do today, and completed tasks now has my rescheduled one. And maybe I could do something about like removing this done or removing these buttons once it's completed. I feel like that's a separate idea, and I'm totally gonna capture that in the project because I will forget. Let's go to issues really quick. Um, so we're gonna say remove, reschedule, and done buttons from task cards once they are marked as completed. We can rethink this because, like, in practice, maybe that's not helpful if I want to test going like back and forth. But I guess in the real world, like once I've marked something as done, it's done. Um, and I could just make another one. That would be my idea. Um, but cool. This all looks like it worked. So let's talk about some other stuff. I wanted to. I talked about the. I'm gonna hide the visor window for a moment so I can fill this with the IDE because I want to talk about how we can make our compose preview a little nicer here. Um, let me find. Sorry, I'm pulling up some docs on the other screen so I can um, talk through this. So let's talk about this Jetpack Compose preview here, or how these two screens are rendered, just in case y'all haven't seen this before. So at the bottom of this file, we have this function that is annotated with preview. It's annotated twice, once for night mode, and it sets this UI mode, like UI mode night, yes, and one for day mode. So that's how we get this nice, like, double rendering of what our app looks like in night mode and what it looks like in day mode. I'm sorry, I can't see the details, but there you go. And there's just one preview function here. Now, I could, like we did in the other file earlier, just copy and paste this to have multiple previews. But another way is we could create something called a preview parameter provider. That's a lot of P's. That will take like multiple versions of the same input that you can pass into a function. So that would be helpful for something like this, specifically because the base or the first parameter here is the view state. And everything inside of this is configured based on what that view state is. So what if I could make a list of the view states that I want to render and then just write one preview that consumes that list of view states and ta-da, it will render. So let's talk about how we can um, achieve that. So let's go back down to the bottom here. I'm going to go above the preview function. The first thing we're going to do is create that parameter provider that I talked about. So we can create a class. Let's call this task list view state provider. And this will be preview parameter provider. The type will be task list view state. And what we need to override here is this values, which returns a sequence of view states. So let's do that. Well, what do we want to test here? Well, we could put like, so let me look at this view state really quick. Okay, wanted to make sure I had this. So we could show like the loading state would be task list view state. And we could just specify show loading equals true. We could have a well, sorry, one second. One thing I'm going to need is I'm going to need like a list of tasks. Uh, let's put this up. Let's put our test tasks at the front here. And let's do the same thing as the other file. Let's put incomplete tasks here. Let's also create a list of completed tasks. So that'll be the same. We'll just modify completed to true here. Okay, so we've got our loading state. We can say like our task list state. This would be task list view state. Here we would say show loading equals false. Our tasks, incomplete tasks will be incomplete tasks, completed tasks, completed tasks. That's all we need to render the task list state. We could have an empty state. So task list view state, show loading would be false. Incomplete tasks would be an empty list. Completed tasks would be an empty list. So like these are the different view states we could create, and then the magic happens when we just do return sequence of loading state, task list state, empty state. Put those on separate lines. I'm also going to add an error state. I don't actually think that we render this at all, but we could add support for it. Like that string text, something went wrong. Yeah, I don't think that we actually do anything with an error state, but we can have it. So this is really cool. This is like this. We create a list of different view states that we want to render. Now let me show you how the magic happens. So let's go back to our preview function. Let's get rid of this stuff real quick. And what we do is we add a parameter onto our preview for the view state. But specifically, we also need to annotate it with preview parameter and then give it that class we just made, like a class reference in the annotation. And now if we build and refresh, we're going to get one preview rendered for each of those view states we provided. So this is a really great way to see all the different ways this screen can be rendered. And then it's nice if as we change the UI, like our previews will support all those different versions for us already. And this is way nicer than writing like 7 different preview functions when nothing is really different between the previews except for the state. So here we see this is actually the loading state. This is our task list state. This is what it looks like with 2 sets of tasks. This is our empty state. This is supposed to be the error state, but we can see that it does not render correctly. That could be a problem for another time. We're just going to pretend that didn't happen. Or maybe after we write some tests for this empty state, we could verify the error UI. Um, let's just talk about it now. Actually, this is why am I wasting time trying to punt it? Let's do this. Updating task list content previews because we're cruising. Chat's not asking a ton of questions. We're just hanging out. We're getting a lot of work done. So why is semi-rhetorical here? So the question might be, well, why is the empty state and the error state rendering exactly the same? And I would say the problem with that comes from the way, well, two things. Part of it is the way our UI flow is determined inside the scaffold. So when I show items, I have like if I should not show loading. Um, and I feel like I said this earlier, past Adam, I don't know what he was doing. I don't like that condition. I would want a I would rather this say something like if view state dot show task content or something like that. Um, and let's create that and because we could make this like a calculated property and talk about like what would be the conditions for this. So if I'm thinking about how I would want to show something, um, if I want to show the task content, one, I want to not be loading, and two, I want to not be in an error state. So I'd actually change this to, let's say, not show loading and error message is equal to null. This would be, okay, so as long as we are not in a loading or error scenario, we can show the task list or empty state. Yeah, so let's rename this to show task list. I know it doesn't mean like I might not show the list because it might be empty, but we'll call it show task list. Or I guess another way we could just say show tasks. Yeah, let's do that. Let's call it show tasks. Um, and then, right. So now what I think will happen on the error state is actually I think we don't show anything. Yeah, we don't check for um, an error state here at all, which is fine. Error states could be another stream, but at least now we don't have this like same state rendered multiple times. Yeah, so in our error scenario, it would end up just being empty, which is not great. It's what we have now. Let's make a ticket so we can record that later. We'll say show error state if unable to request a list of tasks. And we'll get to that either later or on another stream. But every time I see something, I try to like record it um, so we don't miss it. But yeah, so let's do this. So um, void showing tasks in error state. Um, we cruise through that. Oh my god, I've actually been live for an hour. I feel like I'm cruising, but I'm having a good time. So let's we could write some tests. Let's write some tests. Um, actually, let's figure out why my push failed. Magic number. Aha. Ah. Okay. I can fix this. Oh, can I? Because this is in a different class. Let's just suppress magic number. Tests are great. Um, ooh, small brag because my foot just bumped into it and I thought about it. But did y'all see my backpack that I got from the GDE team that has like the Android logo on it? I'm super excited to start taking these places when I can start going more places. It's actually a very like nice quality backpack. Um, they also gave us a little set of like uh, pins, which are wow very hard to see because they're like brown. Um, there's pins, and then this is also a cool little gift they gave us. So this is like a little coin that has like Android developers on it. It's not going to focus well. There you go. Android developers on one side, and then like the experts logo with the year on the other side. Experts 2021. So this is cool. This will be my new like fidget toy at my desk. Um, but that was a nice gift from them. So and then people got their choice. Actually, I don't remember filling out a backpack. I feel like I did not select that, but I may have. But they gave some people an option of swag, and someone else posted on Twitter they got like a really nice like a rain jacket with the Android developers logo on it, which is pretty cool. Um, okay, let's write some tests. So I think we may already have oh, task list content test. Task list content test. We do. So we wrote tests for rendering the different states. So let's call out some tests for let's write the names of them. So we're going to say render with no tasks. We're going to have render with no incomplete tasks. And then we can have render with no complete tasks. And we're going to make sure that when we do this, we're just gonna like verify the UI configuration for each of these things. Um, so let's just for help, let's make like a private like test task that we can use to reference here. Test ID, description, test task, scheduled date, local date that now, completed, false. Um, have there been any flaky tests yet? Not yet. Not for me. Fingers crossed. But um, okay. So to render with no tasks, I actually don't need the test task I made. Let's do this. So our view state will be task list view state. And we'll just say show loading equals false. Let's specify incomplete tasks is empty. Completed tasks is empty list. Oops, empty list. Then we could do compose test rule dot set content. Task list content view state equals view state. What are our parameters here? It's just some lambdas, whole bunch of lambdas that we don't use. We'll add names to those. Okay. So then we render our content. Ooh, excuse me. And then I guess the only assertion I would make for this one, well, I suppose I could assert like no progress bar, but let's just assert that like the empty state label we expect appears. So we can do compose test rule on node with text. The text will actually be we'll reference the string resource. We'll do get string r.string dot no tasks scheduled label. And then we'll just say assert is displayed. Yeah, and we could be more thorough, but I'm just gonna like make that one assertion that the empty state appears. And let's make this a little more readable. Specifically, I'm getting this label, which we do by pulling the like activity from our compose test rule and getting the string. And then we can do this on node with text, node test, scheduled label, assert is displayed. That's what's really happening here. So you can see all this. create our view state, render the content, make some assertion about the content. Um, I'm going to copy this code because that's the same for every test. Actually, let's copy these first lines and talk about what's going to change. So it's going to change. So here we're saying render with no incomplete tasks. So here, for completed tasks, let's do list of test task. So what is our assertion? Well, we can assert no incomplete card. We can also assert completed task rendered. So let's do that. These are just notes for myself. I'll delete them in a second. So no incomplete tasks label will be compose test rule dot activity dot get string. All right, let's bring that no incomplete task label. So you can do compose test rule on node with text no incomplete task label dot assert is displayed. And then for verifying that our task was rendered, we could do something like compose test rule dot on node with text test task dot description dot assert is displayed. And again, we could be a little smarter about these tests, like verifying that it's rendered in the appropriate section. But I'm definitely being like not super thorough on these. Mostly in the interest of like want to rush through and get like a couple quick tests in and make sure they pass, and then we could definitely be a little more thorough about this. Um, and David, thank you for the follow. I fully approve of your last name. Uh, it sounds great. Okay, and we're going to take that same test basically, and then we're going to basically just swap out some stuff. So here, we're going to have no completed tasks, but our incomplete tasks will be our test task. Um, our label's going to change. We're going to want the no completed tasks label. No completed task label. But then we're also going to assert that like the task that we passed for the one list is rendered. And again, this is where we should be a little more thorough, and we could talk about how we can do that in a second. Let's bring our emulator back over, and let's make sure that these tests do in fact pass, and then we'll talk about making them a little more thorough. Come on. I really got to figure out how to fill this dead air. I was laughing. I was watching, I believe her name is Maya, was streaming yesterday, and she was doing a Gradle build and said the exact same thing. She's like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do while this happens. And I'm like, none of us have figured that out. That's the downfall of live coding. Cool. All of our tests are passing. Um, so let's talk about one way we could make this a little better. So um, if I look at this assertion right here, the empty state for no incomplete tasks. I like this assertion. I think this is good. I want to make sure that that empty state label appears. I want to talk about why I don't like this assertion by itself. Basically verifying that the task card is rendered. And I don't like that assertion because with the way the screen works, by showing me two separate lists, I don't really have a way to verify, like, hey, the right um, list is being rendered here. So let's do that. Let's verify the right group of items is actually being rendered. Um, and let's talk about how we can do that. So if we look at our task list, and we go back here, so we have this items call right here where we huh, um, where we take like a list of tasks and we render them. And I'm thinking about this a little differently in my head. What I'd like to do is find some way to differentiate an item created from this block of code from an item in this block of code, even though they look almost identical. And one way we can do that is actually by using something called a test tag. So each of these items can have a modifier, I believe, right? Yeah. So we can give it a modifier. And then, oh, can I not? Task list item does not consume a modifier. Let's change that. Um, we're making it so I can pass a modifier into our task list item, and I'm going to make sure that that gets passed into the root composable. So what do I want to do with this? Well, there's a test tag modifier where you can give it some unique tag, and then you can reference it by that tag from your tests. So I could put something here like incomplete task, and then I could put like the task like ID or something. But this is a way of specifying like, oh, I'm creating an incomplete task that gets rendered in my list. And I could pass this same modifier in the other list, but instead here the tag would be something like complete task with the ID. So in our test, our assertion then is not just was um, was this task rendered, but I could say like expected test, expected task tag would be like incomplete task. Oops, no, in this case, completed task, test task.id. And then here we could say on node with tag, expected test tag assert is displayed. So now we have, and actually I think this is a typo. Yeah. Um, but now we have this nice assertion that verifies like the block of code that our task is being rendered in, um, to verify that like, oh, this is going to be rendered in the completed task section. Um, and so we could do the same thing here. Expected task tag here would be incomplete task test task.id on node with tag expected test tag. Now this test should still pass. Fingers crossed. But now we have like a slightly better assertion to verify that our task is getting added to the right list. Um, I suppose if I wanted to be a little more strict, something I might do in another project, because I'm rendering a lazy list, I wonder if it's possible to do like a for loop through the items and verify that like the items at each index are what I expect, but um, I'm not going to worry about that here. But nice. This is all passing. So yeah, that's empty state work. We crushed that in like an hour, and maybe we'll keep it a short stream or do a hard stop because I feel bad that I've been putting out like 2 3 hour long YouTube videos lately. Um, but maybe we can just keep this one kind of short tonight. What to do here? Testing the empty states. We'll also find out when I run the pull request and we get like some coverage information if I added anything that didn't get proper test coverage. Let's go into stream history real quick. Uh, can't forget that one. Um, and let's put in our latest stream. So this is, yeah, stream 19, um, empty states. Or rather, task list empty states. In this stream, we added empty states. Stream history is genius. And let me tell you, let me finish this thought process and then I'll share with all of you, in case you missed it, the cool update to this file. Um, our text list screen that show when the user has no incomplete tasks, no completed tasks, or no scheduled tasks at all. PRs, let's say empty states tests. That's going to come up, and then YouTube coming soon. Um, so let me show y'all something I did recently. If you go to the stream history file, which I will link to you, it's also in the README, exclamation point GitHub. But this link that I'm posting more specifically goes to the stream history file, which previously was just a recording of every stream by date, which was helpful until we got up now to like near episode 19. I wanted to make it easier for people who want to find the stream from a particular topic or feature to do so. So now this page has collapsible sections at the top to do just that. We've covered like streams by date if you want to find it chronologically. Hot topics is like dependency injection, navigation, persistent storage, um, things around developer experience, and then after that we'll break it down by stream. So making it a lot, or by screen, making it a lot easier for people to go to stream history and find those resources related to certain topics in this project. So with that, actually, let's do that together now. If you have no idea how that works, the way it works is in Markdown, you put like it looks like an XML tag for details. You put a summary tag, which is the text that will appear next to the arrow, and then everything below this gets rendered when it's collapsed or not. So we can add our line in here. Um, Also, when you link to the section, at least in IntelliJ, we get autocomplete for this, which is great. Um, so we can add this to the streams by date section, and I'm also going to add this to the um, task list screen section. And let's commit this, updating stream history. And we'll get this PR going. And I think actually I will call this a shorter stream, and we'll wrap this up as long as our build passes. So I'm gonna get the PR going. We can do a little like chatting for a little bit to fill the time that this takes to run. Um, WebShark, thank you for subscribing. Um, I was just talking about how I'm kind of wrapping up if you just got here, but only kind of wrapping up. I'm going to make a pull request. I'm going to wait for it to build. And assuming that it does, then I'm going to wrap up. Adding empty states to task list. Great. 5 months. That's crazy. I'm working on. You still get the gingerbread, which is the 2 month sub badge. I'm working on getting new sub badges soon. So, and I think you can do like 3 months, and then it gets longer. It's like 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, etc. But they're not ready yet, but they'll be ready soon. And they'll still follow the dessert timeline. I forgot what I picked after gingerbread. I didn't do them all in order. Um, but yeah, I'm excited for those to get coming out. Handled no tasks scheduled, no incomplete, and no complete tasks. Honeycomb. I did not add a honeycomb badge. Maybe I should have. What did I pick? Um, Let me go pull this up. Um, oh, can I not view? I did cupcake, gingerbread, ice cream sandwich, Kit Kat, lollipop, and pie. Um, Kind of for no particular reason. I just kind of spaced them out and thought which ones I thought would make for like cool emojis. Uh, Labels. So this will be enhancement. This will go into the I guess the home screen project. Create pull request. Nice. So this will run. We'll get assuming that our code coverage stays pretty good. Um, I doubt there's anything I'll have to worry about here. Um, yeah. I added a lot of preview code here, which is what I'm worried will like screw up coverage. I talked about that earlier, but we'll just let it run. We'll see how it goes. Um, okay, let me share that pull request if anyone does want to review the code we worked on today. Um, but yeah, we also, if you missed the early parts of the stream, we updated to Compose 1.1, which is stable today. So check that out. There was some cool updates in there. Um, Yeah, so we're just going to, maybe I'll even pull up the logs. I don't normally do this, but um, I just want to make sure this build passes in case there's anything I need to update that might be relevant to the stream, and then we can call it a night. So we can just chat about stuff. I don't know if anyone has anything cool they're working on that they want to brag about, or questions, or I don't know. I need to figure out how to fill like some dead air. Um, maybe I set up, maybe we just do some Rubik's Cube predictions because we have time. Um, that those are always fun. Anything I'm looking forward to in Compose? Um, Out of the new releases, um, actually, I was gonna let's look at the docs for one thing I was thinking about. So I was excited about like these touch target updates to make sure everything automatically has like a minimum touch target of 48 dp, which is important for accessibility. Um, how many projects have I used Composed with? I would say in practice, like three that I like. I mean, I use it at my day job, so that's the big one. I use it on this one. And I guess there's one or two other. Well, one pet project is abandoned. When I first started streaming, I was working on a study guide application that was also built with Compose. Um, and then I have another pet project uh, that I don't talk about too often because I don't want to jinx it and not work on it anymore. But I do have another pet project that's also fully in Jetpack Compose. Um, but one of the things I noticed in here, who asked? Asel asked. So they mentioned some experimental APIs that went to stable, and then also some new experimental APIs, including lazy column slash lazy row item positions can be animated using modifier.animate item placement. So I actually had pulled up the docs because I wanted to learn about that and what that looked like. So this modifier animates the item placement within the lazy list. When you provide a key via lazyscope.item slash lazyscope.items, this modifier will enable item reordering animations. Aside from item reordering, all other position changes caused by events like arrangement or alignment changes will also be animated. So let's let's play around with that. So what I'm gonna do to test that, we can play around with that while our thing is running. Um, let's see. So what do I have to do here? I pretty much just do animate item placement on the item. It seems like I need to make sure I specify a key. So let's do that. Let's go back to our task list. Um, so here we can do animate item placement. We will need to opt in to that experimental API. We also need to make sure we pass a key here. So the key could be the task.id, or that could be the big thing. Let's clean up this arrangement here. Um, and let's do the same thing for the completed tasks. Items equals this. Give it a key, which will be the item ID. And then here, same thing, animate item placement. Okay, so let's run this and let's see how this animation looks like. Oh, you thought it was about drag and drop? I'm sure they're working on it. Um, I'm sure it's on the roadmap. Actually, I'm pretty sure I've read that. I just don't know like when on the roadmap. Um, I don't know if I'm gonna see it. Um, so I didn't really see it there. So I'm curious if I press done on this. Let's see if it animates when it moves to the bottom. Ooh, okay. I wonder if I can slow that down. I don't know if y'all saw that. Um, it's like I need to make another. Let's make a couple of these. Also, I don't know why the keyboard doesn't disappear. I feel like that's a compose bug and not my fault. Um, okay, here it is again in case y'all missed it. That's really cool. The way it slides down to the bottom like that. Um, I wonder, one other thing I'm going to try. Hey, Calusi, one other thing I'm going to try because it did say, hold on. Um, uh, oh, it says aside from item reordering, all other position changes caused by events like arrangement or alignment changes will also be animated. So I was wondering about if that includes like um, visibility. So on the empty section card, um, let's put a modifier on this card for the empty state and pass that in. I want to see if I can modify like the empty state coming into view. So let's do that. Whoops. So we'll do this just for like incomplete tasks to try it out. Um, animate item placement. And then I think for item though, I also need to give it a key. And I can give it anything, so I can just say no incomplete pass card. That'll be a key, I guess. So let's run this. And let's see, when I mark my last task as completed, I want to see if that like empty state that comes in gets animated. If it does, that would be pretty cool. All right, are we ready? Okay, if it did, I can't tell, because I'm too like distracted by like the completed task moving down. Um, but either way, it's cool to see that reordering animation happen. Um, I suppose if I didn't want to rely on the lazy column implementation of this, um, I can do like can do animated visibility. Um, true. I think I could just do this, and then I think by default, Compose will just animate this. But this might also be true when like I go from the initial state, which would be weird. I guess I would only want to animate it in when I'm like completing my last task. Huh. Okay. Yeah, if it is animating, it's like I'm not seeing it because of the item reordering. So we're just gonna ignore that. But I'm also fine with uh adding that animate item placement to this pull request because that was cool. Let's add that. I'm fine with experimental stuff. So add animate item placement modifiers. That was neat. Thanks for asking me that question. So I would go check that out. Um, I will probably like record a little video of it and tweet that out as like the cool thing that we added today. Let's see if we talked ourselves through enough. Nice, our UI tests are running. So we talked ourselves through quite a bit of this PR running. Uh, do, 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 do. Sorry, I just checked some notifications while it runs too. Um, yeah, that's. I'm also curious. I didn't look actually. Let's look now. Um, I was curious what this might mean for Composed Material 3. And if that, oh, so they're on Alpha O5 now. I think our project is still on like Alpha 2 or 3. Um, let's see what's new in Composed Material 3. Um, see. Ooh. Oh, they have cards now. So in our project, you may have noticed we have a, oh, let me zoom in, sorry. We have like a hack where we made our own Material 3 card because it wasn't there yet. Um, now it is. So, um, ooh, there's more support for Fab. So we've got new components in Material 3, which is the biggest reason why Composed Material 3 is lacking. Like, not in a bad way, but it's just, it doesn't have all the same components that come standard with, like, the existing Composed Material artifact. And that was to be expected. It's alpha, it's not, like, their fault. They're giving us early access to this. So, um, that's the big thing. Alpha O4 had Material 3 divider, which is very funny because I've also had to make my own Material 3 divider in another project. So I'm glad that they are just adding more of those components that we didn't have. Um, yeah, that was some other stuff. So cool. This is still an alpha, so this must not be super close to coming out, but so exciting. Ooh, all right, our build passed. Let's take a look at the pull request. Nice, this still passed. Oh, we actually increased code coverage today by 5%. Um, so that's exciting. I'm always down for increased code coverage. So we added more or less three different empty states. We wrote some tests for them. We tried out Compose 1.1 and added some new animations to the app. So I'm going to call this a little shorter stream, but I'm going to call it successful. That was a lot of fun. I hope y'all learned something. I'll try to get this on YouTube soon. I have last week's like uploaded to YouTube. I just need to like update the thumbnail and some other stuff. Um, but I'll get this out soon. So thank you all for coming by. I hope everyone had fun. Let's see if there's someone we can raid tonight.